Welcome to this ordinary meeting of Hunters Hill Council number 4483 on this August 10, 2020. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet and the waters that surround us, and I pay my respect to elders past and present.
We thank you, Lord, for the honour of being called by our fellow citizens to this office of honour and trust. Give us grace diligently and honourably, free from private interest or prejudice, to discharge the duties entrusted to us to the common good and as in your sight, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Are there any apologies this evening? No apologies. Are there any declarations of interest, please, councillors? Councillor Miles and Councillor Collins. Councillor Miles?
I have a non-pecuniary, non-significant interest in item number 8.1 and I will be leaving the meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Miles. Councillor Collins?
So the same one, same item, and non-significant, non-pecuniary, and I will be leaving.
Thank you, Councillor Collins. We don't have any speakers this evening, so I think we can move on to item 4.1. Item 4.1 is Sustainability Working Party.
Mr. Mayor.
Yep, sorry, what have I missed?
Minutes,
minutes.
Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, thank you. That's important. So have you all seen the minutes of the previous meeting? Have I got a mover for those minutes, please? Councillor Williams. Councillor McLaughlin, thank you. All in favour? That's carried. So we'll move on to item 4.1.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question about the minutes, if that's possible?
Yes, you can. Councillor Williams.
I refer to 7.2 in the minutes, which is a question that I raised in relation to dangerous drain grates in Hunters Hill. And I just note the answer is from council, but I thought that might be from staff. But anyway, I'm just wondering what the insurance implications are for council if it's aware of the problem and it's an easy fix. What are the insurance implications if we just put it into a long process of rectification? Because I suspect these grates have been placed incorrectly or wrong orientation following the asset management process and also the stormwater management flood management program that was run when they lifted most of the grates and put cameras and whatever down. So just wondering where we're situated if we've got this problem and it's not addressed quickly, and it is of major danger to a growing population of bike riders. Where do we stand from an insurance perspective?
Thank you, Councillor. I'll refer this to the General Manager.
Great, Mr. Mayor. In response to the specific question, the works team inspect as a matter of course when they're out on job, and where there are specific locations where there is an issue, it's helpful to know the location, and if there is an issue with a particular location, if that can be reported through the customer request system. In relation to your question in insurance, I might ask the Acting Director Corporate Services to respond to that.
Mr. Mayor, I think it's probably best if I respond in writing to the councillors on that question.
Thank you. Any further questions related to the minutes? Any issues arising from the minutes? Thank you. I'll move on to 4.1, Sustainability Working Party. I've got a mover for that, Councillor Crasoy. Do I have a seconder, Councillor McLaughlin? The recommendations there on page 1, Councillor Crasoy.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So sustainability, by definition, is our capacity to meet our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to be able to meet their needs as well. So that falls into 3 categories. You've got the social aspect, the people, you have the environment, the planet, and you have economic, which is profit. So sustainability covers all of those things. And so it's really great to see the General Manager, senior staff, our new sustainability officer, seeking to engage with our community on that. We have some real talent in our community. So I'd like to thank the residents who have put their hats in the ring to participate in this 3 working groups to help council set some strategies for the future on that. I would like to offer my own services to the committee if I could, and I would also hopefully invite Councillor McLaughlin to ask her if she would participate on the committee as well.
Thank you, Councillor Krasoy.
Working group, not committee.
Thank you. Anybody wishing to speak against the recommendation there? Councillor Williams.
Mr. Mayor, I don't wish to speak against the recommendation. I think it's a great concept and a great idea. I'd like to move an amendment, if I may, and it relates to the terms of reference and to the 2nd page where it talks about recommendations. Because this is a strategy or a policy-based approach, I just believe that that should be amended, that it come back to council for consideration rather than it just go straight through to council staff to implement. I think it's important that councillors be aware of it. So the amendment would be that the matter be brought back to council once the working party is concluded to assess the priorities.
Would that be an item 4 in the recommendation? Is that how you see it?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Could we try to capture those words, please?
Do you want me to repeat that? That the matter be brought back to council to be for its consideration in regard to the priorities.
So could I just check how that varies from the item 3 in the recommendation, please? Councillor Williams.
Well, it conflicts with the recommendation that states that the working group has no decision-making powers. Any recommendations that will be referred to the relevant council officers for consideration and action. Okay. I thought it would be more appropriate. Well, I think because this is a policy strategic-based process of identifying where we see the opportunities that we have for us, that it should be a council process, or at least that recommendation needs to reflect what's in part 3 of the motion. So I agree that part 3 probably does cover it, but there's still conflict with what the terms of reference are.
Okay. Councillor Krasoy. You happy to accept that?
Well, I don't mind accepting it, but I still don't understand how it really differs that much from item 3 on there. But if on a technicality, Councillor Williams would like to see that added, I don't see that it changes anything really, but so fine.
The clarification really, it's trying to bring some clarification to the recommendation. So Councillor McLaughlin.
And just the spelling of Councillor McLaughlin's name on the...
Sure, we'll fix that. Councillor McLaughlin, are you happy with that?
I am. Again, I think that whatever, with any working party, the working party provides recommendations to a council officer, who then drafts the sustainability action plan, and all of those things that would be in that draft would come back to council for its consideration. So I'm not entirely sure what the matter to be brought back to council is exactly, but look, I'm happy just to put it in there. I think it'll come back in a draft anyway. I don't think it actually says that council officers will carry out recommendations without it coming to the council in draft form,
No.
but
All right, if you don't mind, I'll just, can I just defer to the General Manager for a moment? General Manager, did you think the item 3 carried the intent of item 4?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to simplify the matter, would councillors become more comfortable if under the recommendations in the terms of reference for the working group that we simply delete the sentence that says any recommendations of the SWG will be referred to relevant council officers. So if we just delete that sentence, because the intention was and is to bring back a draft plan to council for endorsement. So if it simplifies, we could simply delete that sentence from the terms of reference.
Councillor Williams?
Yes, that'd be a good suggestion, and then you can drop item 4 from the recommendation. That's fine. It's just the
Thank you.
inconsistency between the two I was concerned about.
All right, thanks for pointing it out. I think that leaves us clean. If there's nobody wishing to speak against this, do you wish to speak against this, Councillor Sanderson? Hold on one moment, Councillor Sanderson. Could we have Councillor Sanderson's sound, please?
No, I certainly do not want to speak against it. But again, I just want to highlight some problems that I can see with the terms of reference. And the other thing that's not clear is we have a number of community members who've been named, but the motion doesn't actually say that we are appointing them. I wonder whether we should add to the recommendation that we appoint these members. Given that there are 10 of them, to keep some balance, I also wonder whether the terms of reference might be amended to perhaps have 3 councillors, 1 to chair, because normally a councillor would chair such a working group. So I'm proposing further amendments to the recommendation.
Okay, so you're suggesting that we appoint the applicants which are listed there and appoint 3
Who are
councillors.
listed?
3 councillors. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We'll see if we
One
can-
to chair.
we'll see if we can capture the words.
But the members are not actually listed in the terms of reference. They are listed in the report.
And I think there are 8 of them, aren't there?
Or is it 8 or 10? Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Plus 2 councillors.
Yeah, 8.
Councillor Sanderson, does that capture your thoughts?
Yes, I believe it does.
Councillor Krasoi?
Mr. Mayor, just point number 2 in the recommendation, you just need to change the word 2 to 3. And at the end of that say with 1 councillor to chair.
Yeah, that's fine. So that way we can delete
Delete
5.
item 5.
Councillor McLaughlin, are you happy with that? Councillor McLaughlin, could you unmute Justine? Councillor, please. Can you, Councillor McLaughlin?
Yes, I'm happy with that, but at the moment we have 2 nominations. Is there a third nomination?
Well, I'd be happy to be the third member. It's a matter I'm very interested in, like Councillors McLaughlin and Crasoy.
Very good. Any further nominations? All right. So, Councillor Crasoy, now that it's finalised, would you like to speak to the recommendation further?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm really excited about it. I think you get good juice when you get many heads and lots of passion together. So I think it looks great like it is, and I really look forward to meeting. I've met some of them. There's some real expertise in there, and obviously a lot of passion. So I think it'll do well, and we look forward to bringing the councillors something good to read and plan for.
Councillor McLaughlin, as the seconder, would you wish to speak to that now?
I'll just add to what Councillor Crasoy said. I think it's very important that whatever we do here, we get as much community input as possible. I do know some of the people on this who have nominated on this committee. I know they're passionate. I know they're very interested in climate action and sustainability in Hunters Hill. I would just point out though, just with the recommendation, we have put in that Councillor Sanderson has nominated, but we actually haven't officially put into the recommendation that Councillor Crasoy and Councillor McLaughlin have nominated as well. So I just think we need to tidy that up in the recommendation.
Very good. Thanks for pointing that out. We'll come back to the words and we'll look at it, make sure it's covered. Could you bring that back up on the screen when you can, please? Very good. Any further discussion required, councillors? Councillor Sanderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very briefly, I mean, one of the things I'm most delighted about in this term of council is the way our Bushland Management Advisory Committee is working, because of the level of expertise we have from this amazing community. And I just reinforce the words of Councillor McLaughlin, and look forward to working with this group, and hope that we can really gain some benefit from the expertise we have on the committee.
Thank you, councillor. I'll put the recommendation, the amended recommendation. Those in favour? Against? That's unanimous. Thank you very much, councillor. It's a very worthwhile thing to pursue over the next 12 months or so and beyond. I'll move on to item 4.2, the events program for 2020. Councillor Crasoy, move Councillor Crasoy. Seconded Councillor, sorry, is it, who was first?
Miles.
Excuse me, Councillor Miles, seconded Councillor Crasoy. I'll try again. Who was first, please? Councillor Crasoy, seconded Councillor Miles. I think I had it right the first time. All right, Councillor Crasoy.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I just want to thank the General Manager and the events team and council officers for all their work that they've done to bring events big and small to Hunters Hill this year. And there's been more small than big so far, but they've been done with heart and enthusiasm, and really well received in the community. It's a really important time for us to just do some good things together. So congratulations to them for putting the effort into it. I think it's resonated well from what I hear. It's also good to have some plans in place for the year ahead. Fingers crossed. And for council again to be partnering with events in the community and community groups to collaborate and make good stuff happen as well, with council support and with again their talent and expertise. Old favourites like the Food and Wine Festival will hopefully go ahead next year, and a few new things. And there's some really exciting stuff in the report. Particularly, I'm looking forward to the Henley Farmers Market coming up on the 21st. That's very exciting. I love what they're doing down at Henley Bowling Club. So that should be a great day. And of course, Merton's Faces of Hunters Hills coming up as well. So yeah, good on the team for making stuff that makes people feel good and feel united as a community happen. We do have an events committee. It's an enthusiastic and talented committee of people, and like all our committees and working groups in Hunters Hill, the people that offer their time and talent to these things do so with generosity and because they believe they have something to offer. So I would hope that in the coming year we can engage with them some more. Because what they do, apart from bringing their time and talent and ideas and enthusiasm, is they actually provide a conduit into the community as well through their volunteering, usually with more than one group in the community. They tap into their networks, and that is how so many of our events have been made successful and so well supported by the community in the past. So I would like to ask...
Councillor, your time's expired.
Has it?
Councillor Miles. Move to extend. Councillor Miles. Councillor Sanderson. Please go ahead.
I would like to ask that the events committee have this report forwarded to them and thank them for their support in previous years, and just to let them know that even though they're on simmer, we haven't forgotten that they exist. I don't want to add that in as an amendment. I'd just like to ask if the officer or general manager might see to have that happen.
Thank you, Councillor Grasso. Anybody wishing to speak against? Anybody else for? I'd like to speak for it if I can, particularly the staff's response this year to what's happened. We've had a really rough year when you think back to what happened with the storms we had earlier in the year, and the way the staff handled those storms was amazing with the help of the SES, followed up by COVID and the need for us to move off site and split up the works teams into pairs so that we could get the work done in a safer way. The way they've responded with PPE and work method statements that keep our people safe, which is really important. No staff, no council meetings, no staff, no action in the community. We've had to keep our people safe, and I thank councillors too for their perseverance in not being in our normal position and some of the difficulties of not meeting together. The staff have been going through something which has been quite difficult, being away, lots of meetings. I've seen a lot of staff working over weekends and working late into the night, trying to organise things and respond to emails, only out of necessity really, not because they want to work overnight, I'm sure. So I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the staff, the great work they've done as a result, in particular, of the COVID-19 pandemic that we're in. And I think if we think that it's gone away, we only have to look over our border to the south and realise that the situation could become quite dire very quickly. The mayoral column this week, if I might, deals just with the pandemic. And I'd ask you to share that with as many people as you can. It's still a major issue. And I again thank the staff for their great work they've done this year. Thank you. I'll put the motion, the recommendation. Those in favour? Against? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. We move on to 4.3, a summary of council investments as of June 30, 2020. Councillor moved, Councillor Williams, seconded Councillor Sanderson. Councillor Williams, would you like to speak to this?
No, Mr. Mayor, I think it's self-explanatory, and it's part of our general reporting in relation to our investments. So I have nothing to add.
Anybody wishing to speak against? Councillor Collins, just one moment.
To speak. So I'm not against, but I'd like to speak for it.
All right, anybody wishing to speak against? Councillor Collins, go ahead for.
Yeah, look, I actually don't think it is self-explanatory. The reason we deferred this last week was because I brought to your attention that we've got $6 million at call, and we're getting 0.01% interest on it. You know, the difference between 0.01 and 0.1%, you know, 0.01% on $6 million is about $600 a year. And I'm not satisfied with the way that I've raised this issue several times, and I understand that we've been freeing up money. The fact is we don't have the right strategy here, and we haven't ever done this right. And I want to see. I mean, we've got to see consistency here. We've got a term deposit lodged on the 21st of May at 0.66%, and 4 days later at 0.92%. That's a 1/3 difference. Now, I don't think interest rates change between those times, and the advice we're getting is not, and I don't pretend to be an expert here. I don't do much work with fixed interest securities, and I wouldn't expect anyone inside council to have the level of expertise to manage $20 million in fixed interest securities. It's a very advanced and very technical area. So I'd like to see, and I don't think this requires an amendment or anything like that, but I'd like to see somebody come and brief council on this, councillors, sometime soon, somebody that's an expert in this field. So basically the 3 months, in the 3 months that we've had $6 million at 0.01%, you know, we probably lost $15,000. Okay, so it adds up. This needs to be done right, yeah, I'm not sure whether I pursue this as a question without notice, but I will work with the general manager, as I have raised this before. But I have been raising this for a couple of years.
All right, thank you. General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Hold on.
Sorry. Through you, Mr. Mayor, we'll arrange a
We just
briefing.
need your, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, we'll arrange a briefing.
Okay. Thank you, General Manager. Anybody wishing to speak for, against? Thank you, Councillor Collins. I think we do need to pursue it further, and the General Manager is working on it at the moment, as I know. And we do need to perhaps find a way to deal with $6 million. All right, thank you very much. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, against, that's unanimous. Thank you very much, councillors. 4.4 is development applications determined under delegated authority, July 2020. Do I have a mover? Recommendations are on page 13. Move, Councillor Williams. I'll second it. Councillor Williams.
No, Mr. Mayor, I dare not delve into the number of trees that we're losing in this report, but it's a process which the council staff are going through to approve these things. But I think our exploration of the tree policy, which will take place over the next few months or 6 months, hopefully, will give us some more guidance as to the best way to deal with these applications.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Any further discussion required, councillors? I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, against, that's carried unanimous. Thank you very much, councillors. Do we move to 8 point? Councillor McLaughlin, do you have a question? Do you have a question? Sorry, just one moment. We'll get you off mute. Councillor McLaughlin.
Oh, just that we move into committee of the whole now.
Yep, we move to 8.1, the purchase of land, 105 Pillwater Road. Councillor McLaughlin, we can. Seconded Councillor Williams, and we have two people which won't be attending this session, and we're going to close down our live feed, and we'll come back later. Councillor Collins, did you have a comment? No.
No, but I think that's.
Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you.